In September 1980, Iraq launched one of the largest military invasions the Middle East had ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers crossed the border into Iran with tanks, aircraft, and artillery. Saddam Hussein told the world it would be over in 2 weeks. It lasted 8 years. By the time it ended, more than 1 million people were dead. Entire cities had been reduced to rubble. Children had been gassed in their own villages. And the country that quietly funded both sides of this war, supplied weapons to Iraq while secretly selling missiles to Iran, was the United States of America. This is the Iran-Iraq War, and it is one of the most devastating, most cynical, and most deliberately forgotten conflicts of the 20th century. To understand why this war happened, you need to understand what had just taken place in Iran the year before. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution changed everything. The Shah of Iran, a close American ally who had ruled with an iron fist for decades, was overthrown by a mass popular uprising led by Ayatollah Khomeini. American embassy staff in Tehran were taken hostage for 444 days. The relationship between Iran and America collapsed completely. But the revolution did something else that terrified the entire Arab world. It proved that an Islamic revolution could succeed. And Saddam Hussein, the ruler of neighboring Iraq, was watching very carefully. He had his own large Shia Muslim population inside Iraq. He was afraid that Khomeini's revolution would inspire them to rise up against him. He needed to act before that happened. And there was something else, something more practical, something that made Saddam's mouth water. Iran's military had been thrown into chaos by the revolution. The Shah's officer corps had been purged. Thousands of experienced military commanders had been imprisoned or executed. The Iranian army was in disarray. Its American-supplied weapons were running low on spare parts because America had cut off all military support. Saddam looked at Iran and saw weakness. He saw opportunity. He saw oil fields, rivers, and land that Iraq had disputed for decades. He saw a moment that might never come again. On September 22, 1980, without a formal declaration of war, Iraqi forces crossed the border into Iran on 3 fronts simultaneously. 10 divisions, over 200,000 soldiers, more than 2,000 tanks, supported by the full Iraqi Air Force. The invasion had begun. Iran did not collapse the way Saddam expected. Within weeks, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and regular army had mobilized millions of volunteers. Young men, some barely teenagers, were sent to the front lines in human wave attacks against Iraqi positions. They were told they were fighting for God, for the revolution, and for Iran. Many of them were given plastic keys and told they would unlock the gates of paradise if they died in battle. They died in extraordinary numbers. The battles that followed were unlike anything the world had seen since the First World War. Trenches, barbed wire, artillery barrages lasting days. Soldiers fighting over the same patches of land for months, taking it, losing it, and taking it again. By 1982, Iran had pushed Iraq back and was actually advancing into Iraqi territory. Saddam's quick victory had become a desperate fight for survival. This is where the war became something far darker. Saddam Hussein turned to chemical weapons. Iraq began using mustard gas and nerve agents against Iranian troops on a scale not seen since the First World War. Soldiers caught in gas attacks died in agony. Their skin blistered. Their lungs collapsed. Thousands died in the field. Tens of thousands were left permanently injured. The United Nations condemned Iraq for using chemical weapons. And then America quietly gave Saddam better satellite intelligence to help him use them more effectively. Let that sink in. While publicly condemning chemical weapons attacks, American officials were privately helping Iraq target them better. The reasoning in Washington was cold and calculated. They did not want Iran to win this war. An Iranian victory would give Khomeini's revolutionary government control over the entire Persian Gulf. That was unacceptable to American strategic interests, so America helped Iraq. But here is where the story becomes even more extraordinary. At the exact same time that America was helping Iraq, it was also secretly selling weapons to Iran. In 1986, it was revealed that senior American officials had been secretly selling missiles and military equipment to Iran, the country they publicly called a terrorist state, and using the money from those sales to illegally fund rebels in Nicaragua. This became known as the Iran-Contra affair. It was one of the biggest political scandals in American history, and it meant that America had been simultaneously arming both sides of a war in which 1 million people died. Both sides, at the same time. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. The cynicism was complete. And the people paying the price were the soldiers in the trenches and the civilians in the bomb cities of Iran and Iraq. By 1988, both sides were exhausted. Iran and Iraq had fought each other to a bloody standstill. 8 years of war had produced nothing. No territory gained, no political change, no victory for either side. Just 1 million dead and 2 countries that were economically destroyed. On August 20th, 1988, a United Nations brokered ceasefire finally ended the fighting. Ayatollah Khomeini reportedly said that accepting the ceasefire was like drinking poison. He died less than a year later. Saddam declared victory. He had not won anything, but he was still in power. And America, the country that had helped both sides kill each other, walked away clean. Or so they thought. Because the Iran-Iraq war did not end the story. It created the conditions for everything that followed. Saddam Hussein emerged from the war with the largest and most battle-hardened army in the Arab world. He had debt. He had ambition. He had chemical weapons and no reluctance to use them. Just 2 years after the Iran-Iraq war ended, he invaded Kuwait. And America, the same America that had been his ally, sent 500,000 soldiers to stop him. The Gulf War of 1991 was a direct consequence of the Iran-Iraq War. And the 2003 invasion of Iraq, which cost another 200,000 lives, was a direct consequence of the Gulf War. Every war in the Middle East over the last 40 years traces a direct line back to what happened in September 1980 when Saddam Hussein crossed that border, and traces a direct line back to the decisions made in Washington that kept that war going for 8 brutal years. The human cost of the Iran-Iraq war is almost impossible to comprehend. 1 million dead, hundreds of thousands permanently disabled by chemical weapons, 2 entire generations of young men in both countries gone, cities that took decades to rebuild, economies that never fully recovered, families on both sides of the border that lost fathers, sons and brothers to a war that achieved absolutely nothing. No territory changed hands permanently. No political system changed. No dispute was resolved. It was 8 years of death for nothing, except for the arms dealers, except for the governments that sold the weapons, except for the strategic planners in Washington who decided that a long grinding war between Iran and Iraq served American interests better than a quick victory for either side. They got what they wanted. 1 million people paid for it with their lives. If the story has affected you, share it. Because the Iran-Iraq War is one of the least talked about conflicts of the 20th century and one of the most important. The people who died in those trenches, in those gas attacks, in those bombed cities, they deserve to be remembered. And the decisions that kept that war going deserve to be understood. Like this video, subscribe to War Files, because the stories that shaped our world are too important to forget. See you in the next one.